Jakarta. I think they wanted to know the success story about how we did this project on such a short time and the challenges behind it. And then there was a further talk in Berlin. In November, we spoke at the World Architectural Conference. And then 3 weeks ago, I shared the same paper in Singapore, in Sentosa, for the Asia Pacific Stadia and Arena exhibition. And thank you, CIDB, JKR. I'm here today to share with the Malaysians about this project and the success story and challenges. And in June, I think, we'll be in Wembley to give a talk in the Global Stadia and Arena exhibition, because globally this is branded as one of the most challenging stadium projects in the world, given the challenges we had ahead of time. So I'd like to run through a few slides with you all. This is a quick overview of KL Sports City, previously called Bukit Jalil Sports City. As you know, it was built in '98, quite run down. A bit of myself, I think he has shared. I'm a mechanical engineer by training, same university as Dr. Roslan. I did my master's in business in Melbourne, doing law now, so it's a mix of everything. 18 years in the construction industry, done over 3.2 billion US dollars worth of projects, from infrastructure, dams, power stations, petrochemical complexes, aircraft factory, Boeing, the first aircraft factory in Malaysia. Actually, a lot of you may not know, there's a Boeing aircraft factory at Bukit Hitam. I've also done a very complicated link bridge, which I think DBKL has asked me to speak, and KL Sports City, obviously, among others. A bit about MRCB. I've been in the group for 4 years. After I left SIME, been with SIME for 15 years, started off my career there. MRCB, as you know, predominantly is a construction and property player. They're very big into high-rise projects and infrastructure projects, mainly rail and other building projects. We have ongoing projects like Penang Central, Kwasa Central, Cyber City View, all right, TOD developments, transport-oriented PJ Central, etc. All right, straight diving into KL Sports City. Commonwealth Games 1998 facility was built at that time for the 98 Commonwealth Games. We mobilized to site in November 2015, to be very specific. Completion date was July 2017. So we had about 18 months to finish up the job, which was tremendously a big challenge. But as I speak, you'll understand where the problem started. So the project is broken down to 3 phases. The main phase 1 was done for SEA Games, which was completed last year. And then there's a phase 2, which is supposed to start later part of this year and finish hopefully by end of 2020. This is the master plan of KL Sports City. As you can see on the top left-hand corner, the whole idea together with Populous is that we wanted to draw the center of action to the National Stadium. So we had a big 6 drawn out straight into the center, the road that you can see up there, that comes in with a big circle, like a big 6. So we remodeled the road to bring it in so that it comes in to the center of action, and we wanted to activate the space. Now, remember these words, I'll be sharing a few words with you. Activate the space, commercialization, because the old Bukit Jalil Stadium, if you go there in the night, anything can happen to you. Okay, it's dark, it's a huge car park space, and security is a big question mark. Okay, so we need to bring that space to life, we needed to activate the space. So what we did was we went on a benchmarking exercise around the world. We visited, or I personally visited, about 40 stadiums. O2 Arena, Wembley, New Camp, a lot of stadiums, Anfield, Chelsea. We went to Australia. We looked at many facilities, stadiums and arenas. Okay, we did a learning exercise to see what can be corrected, because this is an existing facility. All right, in order for us to do something, we cannot go and rip off the entire building and rebuild, but we needed to enhance the building. So I call it a rejuvenation project. Now the project, as I said, broken down into 2 phases. Phase 1 before for SEA Games, and phase 2 is the additional facilities to complement the entire sports city. National Stadium, some of the high-level work that we did in there is the most challenging work was the facade. the blades. I'll talk a bit about that, how complex it was. We did a mezzanine floor for the VIP lounge, a whole new VIP lounge. We had to comply with international standards, FIFA and IAAF for the running athletics. Pixelated effect seats, I'll talk about the seats, another interesting story. Axiata Arena, which is the old name, which is the new name for Putra Indoor, same thing, lights, seats, sound systems, HD, aquatic center, very interesting. Together with JKR, we ripped off that roof and we had to build it again on a record time because the roof was already leaking. FINA compliant, new lobbies, movable platform. We did something clever in the stadium, in the aquatic center, which probably you don't know, but I'll share with you guys shortly. And the hockey stadium, again, the pitch itself, we did a lot of work, the sports lights and so forth. And then we created this huge plaza area where we have a running track, cycling track, water feature, increased the landscape from 5 to 30%. This is basically bringing in more greenery into the facility, into the entire sport city. Now, I'll touch very specifically on problems and solutions. So you can follow me from there, and then if you have questions later, you can ask me. What was the biggest problem? We were asked to do this entire facility, 5 stadiums in 17 months. Okay, so it sounds easy, but I'll tell you what happened. All right. Number 2, we had coordination issues because everybody that we brought on board, we had 23 subcontractors, everyone wanted to work at the same time because literally everybody had the same start and end date. So the problem was, how do everybody work at the same time when everybody is in the same space? Okay, because unlike a normal project, you will have package 1 start, package 2 comes in, M&E comes in later, ID comes in at the end. So for us, everything was compressed. Okay, we had 20 consultants on board. Unlike a normal typical project, you have anything between 5 to 7. Okay, your architects, CNS, M&E, QS. Here we had 20. Who are the additionals? We had security consultants, we had sports lighting consultants, we had a pool consultant, we had a water consultant, we had a media consultant, we had sound consultants. Because when you want to comply with international sporting standards, especially with different standards, you need all these consultants to endorse the facility in different tests. If not, you go up to FINA or FIH or FIFA or IAF, they will not endorse your facility, and hence you cannot have international events. Okay, so one of the things that Minister wanted, he said, make it a world-class facility. We need to be able to organize Olympics in Bukit Jalil. So in order to do that, then you have your different classification by your sporting bodies to comply. So this is the reason why we had to go around the world engaging different consultants and architects. And mind you, not the 20 of them were not based in KL. Okay, I can only say safely, maybe 8 or 10 of them were in KL, and the balance were all over. We had people from the UK, we had people in South America, we had people in the US, we had people in Australia, we had people in Japan, you know, and many parts of the world. So what did we do? How did we coordinate all this, all right? We started looking into processes. Time was short, okay? We brought in this software called Aconex. We had one common platform for everybody to communicate, okay? Consultants, the client, us, and contractors. So everybody was brought onto Aconex. Every document, every single approval, every single comment had to go through Aconex. This is how it looked. There were emails to track people, who are the people slipping and who are the people who are not. And if a task is overdue, as you can see on the top, it all comes out as overdue and the name of the consultant pops up. 24 hours, it goes to my PD, my CM. 48 hours, it comes to my attention. Okay, so it's very intense. And everybody is on the same platform all over the world. So if you're sitting in London, you can access this. All the drawings, as-built, everything is put in Aconex. All documentation, specification, contract documents are all on the same platform. So everybody sees the same thing. And taking it even further, Aconex is quite powerful. We used it quite extensively on our phones. So if we walk on the site together with our consultants, we can snap a photo, as you can see there, instantly capture a photo, put a comment and send it to Aconex, and it appears on the contractor or consultant's email right away. and they are timed 24 to 48 hours to respond. Okay, and if they don't respond, the buzzer comes up to them and to us. Okay, so this was a very powerful tool we used quite successfully, and it helped us a fair bit. Right, I'll dive into the most complex part of the entire project. The critical part of this entire project was the facade, the National Stadium facade. As you can see there, it was a very, very challenging structure. It got even more challenging when we started doing the actual construction. So here we are at Bukit Jalil, November 2015. We go up to the client and we said, can we have the as-built drawings? And they said, sure. So they lead us to a room. We went in there, we found drawings. They were construction drawings, chopped as built. We took it and went and checked certain facilities or rooms that were supposed to be there, none were there. And then we came to realize that actually they were not as built drawings. They were just some old drawings being shoved up. So how do you start construction when you don't have as built drawings? Problem number one, we had to go and do a point cloud survey. Okay? And it really hit us on the facade. I'll talk about the facade now. The facade consists of 678 blades, three-dimensional blades designed by Populous. The unique thing about this blade is each and every blade was customized and made. It's not repetitive. It is not repetitive simply because of the twist that you see at the center section. And the center section twist was having an inclination all around. So it was a wavy pattern. That was number one. Number two, we happily engaged the contractor to do the facade, and he went on site and started to do on-site survey to realize something more serious. In December 2015, the worst nightmare for us came about, which is the National Stadium is not oval as what it seems. It had an dimensional inaccuracy of 0.7 to 1 meters of deviation between column to column. So it's not oval. Now when it's not oval and you try to attach a structure, automatically the facade structure around it will not look symmetrical and smooth around. Let me explain that a bit more in detail. That is the facade, just to give you an overview of how it looks. It's about 1.2 meters apart on the on the sides, and 0.26 meter wide. It's 20 meters tall. A typical blade weighs anything between 1.5 to 1.8 tons. The outrigger at the back, which you see there, the steel sections, those are 8 to 10 tons in weight. As you can hear, I'm talking a lot of heavy stuff here. And obviously the first question that came about from Minister KJ is, Guna, how safe is this existing stadium to hold this load? Okay, are you sure this facade is not going to bring the entire stadium down for SEA Games? And we had to go and do further studies. That is when we realized the challenges we had ahead of us on the facade when the symmetry issue came about. So the first issue we had to do is, when there was no as-built, we had to go and do this point cloud survey. I think our colleague here, Richard from Landlease, shared a lot of the theory earlier. A lot of the practical application is here. We did a full-blown point cloud survey. We used drones and we used the help of satellites. We actually did an entire three-dimensional point cloud survey of the entire Bukit Jalil, all the 5 stadiums in and out, and also we did laser scanning for internal. We needed to regenerate the entire as-built drawings, which was never ever there. Okay, so that took us a delay of 6 months at the beginning of the job, when we thought we can actually start construction in December. After which we then had to go and do our detail engineering, and that was supposed to be for 6 months, meaning we were supposed to only start work around April, but now we have shortened the entire engineering by 3 months. We completed all the design, surprisingly, in 3 months, detailed design in BIM. And when we looked at the facade in a bit more detail, then we realized the challenges with the existing structure. So we needed to do a quick clash analysis. We brought in a few softwares, packaged softwares. We used Rhino. Rhino was used, it's a very powerful tool. Rhino was used for the rendering of the 3D model of the single input and multiple output software. So this did analysis on the existing structure they were trying to attach. And then we brought in Grasshopper, another name. This was a very intelligent parametric technology software which helped us to do the machine cutting. That means we didn't have shop drawings produced. We cut the process by having the renders done and straight going to machine shop to do the off-site fabrication. Each of the blades were fabricated in Malaysia in 5 different facilities, and they came to site and they got assembled as one single blade. Now that is where the geometry of the ring that we thought was circular, which was not actually, as you see in these pictures, all those areas that are highlighted in yellow were all clash points because the center of the stadium and the symmetric end of the columns were not at the equal or were not equally distant. So we had to adjust the size of each and every outrigger so that when you look from the external, everything looks smooth and circular from the external. So while it looks beautiful from the outside, there's a lot of engineering modification at the back, which we thought the back structure could have been the same. Because the back structure that attaches to the existing stadium technically should have been the same if the stadium was symmetrical. Like I said, it was not. So now the outriggers needed to be individually adjusted. So it became very complicated, the engineering involved. Then we did modeling studies for the louvers and steel ring and truss, and we made that and we resolved it. And then we started putting up the facade. Okay, that is the golden box, the 3M suites. So the facade was done, and we finished the facade 3 months ahead of schedule, thanks to the softwares and the coordination between the team. I also talked about the suites. We built these suites because, as you know, the old National Stadium had a very dry feel of the suite. If you went into the suite, it was very low and dark and not so cozy, you know. So we wanted to improve that, so we benchmarked it against the suites in Wembley, all right? And we improved it compared to Wembley. I'll show you the improvement we did. That's a cross-section of where we moved the suites. The existing suites are at the lower tier, right at the bottom there. We moved it up to the upper tier in green. So from level 2, we moved it to level 3. But level 3, there was no platforms there. So we need to demolish some seats, and we needed to put up a platform, or so to say a structure, which is about 2,800 square meters. And where do you anchor the structure? So again, concern on structure, we had to do it independently, supported from the exterior of the stadium. So that was another complex structure. We built it of steel, and we did it in a record time of 60 days, okay, from zero. That is how the suite looks. As you can see, that's a completed suite, typically at level 3M. What you see on the first picture, on the top left-hand picture, right on the left, you can see the glass finishes go right to the top. So as compared to Wembley, you won't have a view of the stadium roof from the suite because the glass is lower, okay? Whereas here, we left it fully open right to the top. So when you enter the suite, you have this grand view of the stadium that you can see the entire stadium from where you are at level 3, all right, 3M. I'm going to talk about the seats now. That was on the, so the first challenge was the facade, the second challenge was the suites. Now comes the seats. We needed to remove and install 100,000 seats, right? The time that we had was 90 days. So how do you remove and do 100,000 seats in 90 days? So we went around looking for seat manufacturers, and we ended up with this Australian company which also supplied seats to Wembley and many other stadiums in the UK. And they won the tender actually, and we wanted to do the seats. So the thing was, they said, if you're going to do the seats in Australia, in Brisbane, and send it here, we're going to pay for freight, unnecessary freight. So what we decided is, we said, guys, you got 3 months to do the seat. He said, no way, no way. They said the shortest they can do is 6 months, at the most 5.5. He said, no, you're going to do it in 3 months. He said, okay, I'm listening. So I said, all right, you're going to get that mold here. He said, no, we have only one mold. I said, okay, we buy that mold. And so we bought that mold, and he said, how are you going to do it in Malaysia? Malaysia has never built seats for stadiums. So we went around scouting in Malaysia, and I've told this to many people from CIDB and all that. We were trying to promote the Malaysian entrepreneurs to actually participate in construction. We tried to localize a lot of the work we did here. So we ended up in a factory in Rawang called Cipro, run by a very young Bumi Putra entrepreneur lady, Datuk Guna. And I said, I met her and I spoke to her and I said, look, what do you do? She said, oh, we can do anything in plastic we can build. I said, good. How many factories you got? She said, we got 4. I said, okay, sounds good. Have you built seats? She said, never, but I can try. I said, okay. So we're going to try something interesting. So we said, okay, we brought the mold there. We brought the Australian engineers here. And we said, okay, let's try to build these seats in Malaysia. She said, okay. So we gave her the mold. We did a trial. We did it for about 4 days. I must say 60% failed miserably. Only 40% passed. And then the Australian contractor who got the job, he said, there's no way you can build the seats here. So we got her to work on another week. And we got the Australian engineers to sit down and correct the process. And so then after, what happened was, she got it right. Okay, now, this is facts. The Australian company can build 600 seats a day in Australia at peak, and they've been in operation for 25 years. Okay, we brought this mold from Australia, we gave it to a local company which builds bumpers for Proton, and she does for other car companies as well. So she does anything to do in plastic for car companies. So we said, okay, you're going to build seats, and she actually built the seats. So during the peak, she was doing at an average of 900 to 1,100 seats a day for us. Okay, and that is something I must say, it's a tall achievement for a Malaysian company who's never built seats, and quality acceptable to the Australian company. Okay, if you've been to Bukit Jalil, you are sitting on those seats. It's all locally made, you know. So we got her to do those seats here, 1,000 seats a day. We removed the 1,000 seats a day, and we put in 1,000 new seats. Can you imagine at the National Stadium, you got 85,000 seats. So that's 85 days, and we had 0 slippage. That means if we produced a day 700 seats, there was no way for us to catch up, because they couldn't go beyond 1,001. At the max, they can do 1,001. Okay, so we got them to do that, and it was very successful. We finished the seat installation in just under 90 days. Okay, and Chematic is surprised, astonished, and I think this is a story bespoke in London. It came out in a magazine there, in a construction magazine, on how people can produce seats in a record time of this scale. So these are the seats at National Stadium, very comfortable seats. We got it all done in under 90 days. Right, challenge number 4, the aquatic roof membrane. Now this was something that happened to us. It was not part of the development. It was not supposed to be replaced. I think Dr. Roslan will agree with me that one day we all got a phone call. He got a phone call, and MRCB got a phone call. Hey, the roof is torn, thanks to a storm. I think if you remember last year, there was a storm that hit the Standard Chartered building, and people were putting on viral the video of the glasses getting shattered in Sungai Besi, and on that same day, this roof torn. Okay, and this is not part of the plan. Okay, so it's all a jinx, you know. So roof torn. So what do? You got to replace this roof now. So we went around the world looking for this roof, and we ended up in France in a company called Sergei Ferrari. Okay, it's actually Ferrari, the car Ferrari. So they could make us this roof piece, this membrane material, one single piece of 10,000 square meters, which is 100,000 square feet. And we needed to do it in one piece. Can you imagine one whole piece brought like a canvas, opened and installed? This was an additional contract given to us by JKR. We were given a 12-month period to get this work done. So we were asked to look at it in January or February 2016, and we were supposed to finish by February 2017. The good news is we brought down that roof, we imported the material, we got it here in Malaysia, we put 2-3 cranes, we lifted it up because it's a single lift, as you can see there. We finished this entire roof in 6 months. Okay, it's half the construction time. How did we do that? It's another interesting story. I think it's all about coordination. So this whole project is about coordination. There will be a video later. We will show you how this roof was installed in very quickly. And I think you can appreciate that you had a roof to replace, then we had the aquatic center to be fixed. All right. Now that's the aquatic center. I'm going to speed up a bit. So that is the tiles. We needed to rip off all the tiles and replace it because the tiles didn't comply with FINA, meaning you couldn't have any international swimming events. So we needed to do a new diving structure. We ripped off the existing diving structure. We put up a new one there, which I think the swimming really helped the Malaysian team win a couple of medals. We also got many awards for the project. We got a 5-star international award from Hong Kong, the 5S award by CIRIM. We got the Sashik 5-star award from CIDB. Sport City was also nominated for the World Architectural Festival 2017. Out of 8,000 over projects, we were one of the 16 projects nominated. We lost in quarterfinals to the project that eventually won the World Architectural Award, so it's okay lah. We didn't lose to somebody who didn't win it. And we got the Global Elite Certificate. That's very important. That is the in hockey you got 3 categories: bronze, silver, gold, and you got this Global Elite, which is the highest certification standard by FIH. So we are the first stadium in the entire world to get the FIH certification by, to get the FIH Elite certification by the Hockey Federation. Okay, so it's predominantly the best hockey pitch in the world. That's a night shot of the event image that went to the World Architectural Festival. That is the certificate from FIH. I'm going to show you some photos before and after, which you have already seen on the seats. That's the old stadium. That's the facade that we attached to it. And the walkway, that is the entrance and the VIP area. And then this is the old lobby at National Stadium. We transformed it to have this high volume lobby space with glass. That's the old Stadium Putra, very dull and dry. That's how it looks now, Axiata Arena, place where Ed Sheeran, a lot of concerts being held. That's the interior of the Axiata Arena, the old lobby. This is how it looks. Transform that space again. That is the old aquatic center, the exterior without the facade. That is the attachment that we have put in, the facade with new lights and all that. That is the old building at the side where there was no dry again. We put in this glass finish on the side to give it a cube feeling. That's the unsafe plaza which I was talking about at the beginning. If you go there in the night, anything can happen to you. All right, so we took off that space, we lit it up. This is a quick time-lapse video. I'm just going to show you guys this one, so at least you can see what transpired during the project. video so you can actually crystallize what I was explaining earlier. That's how the stadium looked, I think, during the SEA Games, with all the lighting and the park space being activated. At the bottom there, you can see near the LRT station with the facade lights on. And pretty much, thank you. If you've got any questions, you can ask me later. Just to share with you the magnitude of work we did, it's about 1.3 billion. We did it in 15 months. So averagely, we were doing about 2.8 million ringgit worth of work daily. We worked 24 hours. So for 15 months, we did daily 2.8 million ringgit worth of work. It's a lot of work and a lot of coordination. As you can see, we ripped off the entire plaza. A lot of earthwork was going on. The facade cranes were trying to be built on the 3 stadiums. You had the internal, the track and field. You had people removing the seats. You had people taking out the lights. You had people bringing down the speakers. You had the M&E works to do, everything at the same time. So coordination was paramount on this project. Just to summarize before I end. Thank you so much.